22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it, everyone. Welcome, everyone. This is your regular co-host, Dr. Bob, PhD, filling in the absence of People Before Politics host A.J. Woodson. A.J. is taking a much deserved vacation to see family and friends, and he will be returning back to the studio in a couple of weeks. Everyone, I'm sure you forgive the glitch for a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, I was out of town visiting my son and got caught in traffic trying to come over the Tappan Zee Bridge. So, for one, everyone, since all of you guys can see that I am in the studio by myself, although I often have a very lengthy inner monologue, inner conversation with myself, I don't want to talk by myself on a radio show for any sustained period of time. So anyone who would like to, thank you. I appreciate the encouragement, whoever that was. If you'd like to offer up your comments, questions about the week's events, I'd be happy to engage in a dialogue with you. And first, let me start by giving a shout out to some of our regular viewers. I see Jesse Van Leeuwen, Omi Medina on a check-in. What's up, fellas? Shoot us your questions. Share us your comments about important developments for the week that we can discuss. So one of the important events of the week that we have to mention is the big soiree this past Friday in celebration of City Councilman Andre Wallace's birthday. Unfortunately, I am feeling under the weather. You may be able to tell by my slightly hoarse, raspy voice. I was feeling under the weather, so I didn't attend any social events this week. But from what I understand, it was a grand success. Jesse, what's up, man? A grand success. I think, yeah, I saw quite a few people attended the event, saw a lot of pictures on Facebook. I know Atif was there, and he took some video as well. So if anyone would like to fill me in about the celebration and any other kind of important developments that took place there, you should let me know as well. I will let everyone know that I am expecting Damon Jones to arrive shortly. He also got caught up in traffic. My understanding is that 87 southbound traffic built up quite early on today. So he's on his way here, and I know that we have a couple of guest hosts who are going to be arriving soon. You know what, y'all? I don't feel the love. I see Omi's here and Jesse is here. Where are all of our other viewers who ordinarily are peppering us with questions and comments on Facebook. Please share your questions and comments on Facebook. So, as far as other important events that occurred in the city of Mount Vernon and throughout the county this past week, one of the things that I did notice this week, unfortunately, was a continuing dispute between the Mount Vernon Mayor Richard Thomas and our City Controller Deborah Reynolds over the mayor's contention that Controller Reynolds refused to honor a number of bills, expenses that have been submitted. I'm under the impression that they're actually going to be heading to court. Anyone who has more information about this story, please feel free to share your comments online. But my understanding is that they may well be heading to court soon in order to iron out this dispute. Yeah, and what can I say other than I don't think that the city coffers should be used as a checkbook to pay Mayor Thomas's personal legal expenses. And my sense is that some of the bills that he submitted were for precisely that. If anyone has any more details, feel free to share them. I see y'all enjoy seeing me sort of flapping uncomfortably in the wind by myself out here. So, Donna Nolan is on the check-in. Hello, Donna. How are you today? Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. Other important events this week. Where are all my... AJ, where are you at? Damon, where are you guys at? Someone help me with other important events. Topics for discussion. Y'all are leaving me speechless here. Erica, you got an idea for me to talk about? A question, maybe. And no kind of questions at all. I am good, Donna. How are you? I'm good. I had, as I said, I got over a bit of a cold.
How do you feel about the people that are coming from Central America in thousands?
Oh, yes. An interesting question that was raised by our behind-the-scenes technician. The tremendous amount of press coverage that was garnered this past week by the caravan. Very good, Donna. I'm hanging in there as well, barely, as you can see. Plenty of press coverage this past week about the caravan of immigrants that has been trekking up through Central America, now onto the borders of Mexico, and with the intention of eventually seeking entry here into the United States. Uncle Frank is in there, in the house. Uncle Frank, what's up, man? Help me out, bro. I'm in here by myself, man. I feel exposed right now. So, yeah, it generated a tremendous amount of controversy this past week. And, you know, one of the things that I found particularly unsettling about the coverage given to it this past week is the way in which I think the president deliberately tried to exploit the fear of Latino immigration here in the United States for his own political purposes. Several press reports indicated that the president actually put the blame for this caravan of folks who are streaming to the United States on the shoulders of Democrats. Yes, Uncle Frank, what's happening, man? I missed you the other night. And to me, that was a very cheap kind of shot that he took at the Democrats. Number one, it seems to fly in the face of just that the United States has long been a magnet and a beacon for immigrants who have sought to find ways to improve their lives. Hey, and in that sense, this is totally consistent with the mainstream of American history. America is a nation of immigrants, and everyone got here, with the exception of Native Americans, because they trekked here in the past couple of centuries. So that was my first response, is that I thought it was another cheap, transparent effort on the part of the president to exploit an issue for his own narrow gain. You know, in addition to that, one of the things that occurred to me is that a lot of Americans are unaware of the way in which American foreign policy has contributed to the kind of economic stability, violence, social dysfunctions that are afflicting many of the countries that people are fleeing from, either because of our trade policies that have upended traditional industries throughout Central and South America. Here I have in mind mainly agriculture, or whether it is the various kind of military alliances that the United States has struck with many regimes from these nations. It has often been for the narrow economic interests of American multinational corporations, or to advance just geostrategic initiatives in opposition to communism. But in either case, whatever the underlying motivation, there is a argument to be made, a very strong argument to be made, that the United States bears a tremendous amount of responsibility for stimulating the kind of immigration that now has so many people up in arms. So that was one bit of news that I thought was particularly noteworthy. Another piece of news that I thought was reprehensible, and once again speaks to the lack of fitness of President Trump for the high office of the President of the United States, was his the laudatory remarks that he made this past week with respect to the assault that Republican Congressman, I think is Gianforte, his name may have slipped me, an assault that he committed last year against a Guardian reporter. And true to form, the president made a number of remarks that poke fun at, matter of fact, essentially expressed approval for the congressman's assault on a member of the press. We need only remember all of the controversy that's now going on over the death of Washington columnist, writer Khashoggi, and his apparently deliberate murder at the hands of the Saudi regime, to recognize just how dangerous this kind of rhetoric that the president continues to spew can be. I do have a request here from Donna Nolan, and I'm very pleased to announce that the third annual Michael Nolan basketball tournament is coming up soon, next year, in the opening months of next year. It's going to be held on February 23rd, 2019 at Lincoln High School here in the city of Yonkers. And Miss Nolan is going to make sure that I don't embarrass myself by misspeaking, to provide me some additional details about the cause that the basketball tournament is advancing. So if you could, Donna, please save me here. I need an assist. So those were a couple of pieces of news that really drew my attention this past week. Any other news? Anyone out there? I see I am not nearly as magnetic as AJ or Damon, because I seem to have like 2 viewers now. My viewers, what other comments, issues would you like to discuss? from this past week. Please drop me a line, everyone, at our Facebook page. And again, I'm expecting Damon and guests to be arriving shortly. So hang in there with me, everyone. What other events? What other events? What other topics can we talk about? You know, everyone, I'm going to riff and continue a topic that was briefly mentioned. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Oh, yes, Tracy. Tracy is on the check-in. So specifically, the Michael Nolan basketball tournament helps to raise funds for kids' scholarship, and the funds are raised in Michael's memory. And so I'd urge everyone to come out and participate. Okay, so I'm doing all right. And so one of the things that I was going to say is that during last week's discussion, everyone, we had in studio, we will be accepting 12 teams. So the Michael Nolan basketball tournament will be hosting up to 12 teams whose members can be 18 years old and up to participate in the tournament. And again, everyone, Donna, do we have some further contact information that anyone who is interested in either attending the game or fielding a team to participate in the tournament can reach you at? And so I want to give a shout out to a couple of other people on the check-in. Tracy Gates, Cicely Greaves, have checked in since I put out my plea a couple of minutes ago. So I was going to say, everyone, there was a point that I kind of passed over last week, and many of our audience members, for further information regarding the Michael Nolan Scholarship Fund or the tournament, please visit the website michaelnolanmemorialfund.org. Again, everyone, that's michaelnolanmemorialfund.org, and I think you can see the exact spelling of the web address in the comment section of our Facebook live stream. Oh, yes. So, also, so the Black Westchester fundraiser was this past Thursday as well. Unfortunately, everyone, I was feeling so under the weather that I did not personally attend, much to my chagrin. You know, I can't tell you how important it is, in my judgment, for us to give our support to the wonderful people who are looking to staff many of the community organizations like Black Westchester. And so I wasn't there. I did let AJ and Damon know, and they were gracious enough to accept my apologies. From what I understand, having spoken to AJ about it, he was it was a decent turnout. It could have been more, a greater turnout. My sense is that many people, because it was a Thursday night, there were some people who wanted to personally attend but had other commitments that prevented them from doing so, but nevertheless sought to ensure the operations of Black Westchester by promising to make contributions to the fundraiser. So yeah, the fundraiser, but it was a good first start, everyone. You know, this gives me an opportunity to say, y'all, you know, organizations like Black Westchester do not fund themselves, everyone. There are real resources that are required to make a radio station go. Someone's got to pay the electric bills, to turn on the lights, to get the computer working, to pay for the wireless service, you know, the various social media accounts and website accounts. And thanks to contribution of viewers like you, it has made it possible for Black Westchester to continue its mission. Even if you are unable to personally attend the fundraiser this past Thursday, I would let you know that donations will still be accepted, and if you would like to make a contribution of any kind to support the ongoing programming of Black Westchester, I'd urge you to do so. And when Damon arrives in the studio, I'm going to be sure to also post another link. This gives me an opportunity to segue back to the point that was raised in last week's show when we had Charles Stern in to discuss charter schools. And one of the things that Charles pointed out that I thought did not get enough attention was the immense amount of time and energy that went into planning the Imani Charter School in the city of Mount Vernon. And during his comments, Charles said that it took about a year and a half of concerted planning before all of the paperwork, budgets, staffing, curricula, and kind of extracurricular activities were firmly in place, and the charter school could then proceed to get its license. And I thought that was particularly important, everyone, because my sense as an organizer and even as a scholar of the Black liberation movement is too often folks who call themselves leaders in the struggle for Black people think that we can do, this overnight. Rome was not built in a day, and neither was Egypt. You take whatever your favorite capital of your ancient civilization. None of them were built in a day, everyone. And we're not going to be able to, and I see I have an affirmation of 18 months. And the reason that I want to point this out to all of our listeners is because I think to one degree or the other, we are all involved in various kinds of civic activities and initiatives in our communities that we believe are critical to the survival and uplift of our communities. And my sense is that sometimes we're not fully aware of the depth of the commitment that it's going to take in order to put an organization on good, solid organizational founding. And so I think that 18-month measuring rod is a very useful one against which to compare other efforts that people are starting in the city of Mount Vernon and across Westchester, as a matter of fact, across the United States, seeking for various solutions to the problems that our communities are facing. And it's not going to be done, everyone, with a one-time demonstration that seeks to highlight some injustice. Instead, if we are going to have a fighting chance at addressing many of the very serious, weighty problems that affect our communities, we've got to be prepared to make an investment for the long haul. Everyone, they're scholars, and I've said this many a time, scholars of social movements distinguish between the mobilizing tradition in the Black community and the organizing tradition. And the mobilizing tradition refers to one strategic approach, which says that the key is to put together these big marches, these one-time affairs, to mobilize. And then, you pack up, you march to Washington, get as many people as you can, and then pack your shit up, and no one knows what to do. There's no follow-up the next day. We've got to make a transition from this kind of mobilizing tradition, which emphasizes the importance of holding one-time demonstrations, and begin to more seriously embrace an organizing tradition that says our ultimate aim has to be to build solid organizations that have a steady stream of revenue, personnel, and plans in order to begin to address the problems that we face. And so those of you who are out there who are doing the work, number one, if you feel in any way dispirited by the seeming lack of excitement on other members of the public for your venture, I'd urge you to stick with it. It's not going to be done overnight. It's going to take at least a year and a half. A, and B, those of you who are thinking about what kind of effort is going to be required in order to mount a successful fight back, is going to take 18 months. On that note, everyone, you can see I'm going to just give a clap, sigh of relief. My man DK is in the house. It's been a minute, DK.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give a shout to all the listeners,
What's up,
man.
fam?
Good to have you, brother.
I'm back, filling for AJ. Then I have to go back on my sabbatical.
Okay.
But I'm here this Sunday, and I'll be here next Sunday. I just learned that I have to leave like 3 hours to get here on time.
Yeah, it was a rough ride.
Yeah, it was. I never knew traffic was like that on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Yeah, so I've learned my lesson, and you know you're supposed to grow from your lessons. But it's great to be back on the radio, man.
Absolutely, your voice has been absent too long here.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, I have a lot to say, but I still can't say what I need to say right now. But I think with everything that's going on. With this midterm election and the recent appointment of Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, it's telling times, brother. I mean, it's really telling times. Next week we're going to have Minister Hafiz Muhammad. He was supposed to be on today's show, but his schedule got pushed back to talk about the anniversary of the Million Man March, hopefully we'll have, God willing, we'll have Sister Sonia Wiggins Pruitt, who is the national chairman of the National Black Police Association, who has been sending out powerful she just got in as the national chair, and she has been responding to the FOP, Federation of Police.
I read her letter.
Yes.
I read about 3 weeks ago.
Yes, I had the honor to serve with her on the national board of the National Black Police Association when I was on the national board, and when I was Northeast regional president of the National Black Police Association, and also we were also on the national. I was chairman of the National Membership Committee. For the National Black Police Association, and she was one of the committee members, and her taking over as national chair. I mean, she's doing a hell of a job. She got in the chair and started swinging,
right.
And that was a beautiful thing, man. It is a beautiful thing, and God willing, she's able to call in. I talked to her through text, and God willing, she'll be able to call in next week, and also the brother from NYPD. He will be hopefully he'll be in the studio. He's out in Paris right now. Edmund Raymond, the brother that orchestrated over 100 black cops standing in support of Kaepernick underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. And he's also part of the, I think it's the NYPD 12, the officers that whistleblowed on the quotas in NYPD, and he was 24 out of, I think, over 2,000 for the lieutenant in NYPD, and they denied him. Yeah, they passed over. Because he supported Kaepernick.
Right.
So he had a press conference, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and he's going to come on the show or call in and talk about. We're going to have a full show next week, especially with Minister Hafiz, and it's going to be good. We're going to have a good conversation. We have a guest. Because I wasn't sure if she, if we was gonna make it. So she's going to call in a few. I'm going to text her the studio number. And I'm trying to pull up everything about this young lady. Trying to pull it up so I have it. But trying to pull it up so I'll have her information so we know what exactly going on. And I think it's a great conversation to have on how incidents happen and how our tax dollars being spent and how we let politics get in the way, and our kids are actually our kids are actually suffering. Trying to get the information now. But anyway, Bob, how you doing? While I look for all this information,
I'm good, man. I'm hanging in there, brother. And I see you were fortunate enough to attend Andre's birthday party on Friday night. I saw, you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
dressed to the nines, as they would say.
Hey, I was trying to, I had an opportunity to took a break, man, for the last couple of weeks, man. I wasn't working as much overtime. Sometimes your body just needs to rest, and Andre's event was one of the events I finally went out to in about a month. Probably since, I don't know if I went to any events since the fiasco with the cupcake cutie shop, and I was just decided to take a break, take a mental break from a lot of the nonsense. And Andre's party, I think, was one of the first events that I went to, and had a great time, man. It was good to see. It was good to see a lot of people, and congratulate Councilman Wallace, Andre Wallace, for proposing.
This one is engagement,
to
right?
Rocky.
Can we get
let's get a hand clap. He proposed at his birthday party, and Rocky accept. I didn't think she would say no, but I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did accept.
Yes.
I'm thrilled that she accepted the challenge. Accepted the challenge, and to be Miss Wallace. And also Andre announced that he is announced his campaign that he's running for mayor.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he did. He did that.
Another noteworthy development.
Absolutely, man. I think it's very good that he has decided to put his hands in the ring, to run for mayor, man. I think it's needed. A lot of people, I know, you always have you always have those different naysayers, is he part of the problem, and yada yada this and yada yada that. But I think, personally speaking, Andre has been the only person on the city council that has been consistent in addressing the issues of the city.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say on that, because I must refrain to talk Mount Vernon politics.
Well, luckily I have no such constraints on me.
Right.
Specifically with respect to Mount Vernon politics, those who would attribute blame for much of the chaos that has gone on in the city government of Mount Vernon for the duration of the Thomas administration, I think really have their heads in the sand. a disturbing pattern that we see on the part of citizens here in the United States is a willingness to turn a blind eye to the misfeasance and wrongdoing of our elected officials. I have had conversations with good friends, dear friends, in the city of Mount Vernon about some of the problems and the corruption, and have often been told that, you know what, cuffing is stealing, corruption is a part of the game, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And we in the black community and Latino communities and poor communities cannot afford this attitude of apathy and indifference.
Exactly.
In the face of misuse of the precious resources that our government raises in the form of taxes. So I'm in full agreement with you. I think that the substance of the arguments that, or the substance of the criticism that have been made against Mayor Thomas's administration from both his colleagues in city government and those outside of city government has largely been spot on. And that in very few instances has further investigation suggested that many of the issues that we have raised about residency and, you know, the full gamut, the issues that Andre has raised about all kind of misdealing and corruption, unfortunately, it's real. These are real issues, and no one is making anything up. And, you know, it reminds me of a well-known, you know, adage from Frederick Douglass. I'm going to see if I could paraphrase it, even though it's well-known, I've forgotten it. And it's something like, those who want change without struggle want, it's like wanting rain without the thunderstorm.
Exactly.
The clap of the thunderstorm. And as many of you know, Douglass concludes his remarks by saying, power concedes nothing without demands.
Exactly. And
too often we have a kind of wishful thinking on the part of Americans all across the United States, including in the city of Mount Vernon, that things are going to get better if we just ignore all of the bad that's right in front of our faces. And that's not how it works, y'all. We have to be courageous. We have to muster up the moral courage to call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
And when people are full of shit,
they full of shit.
They full of shit.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, you know, I don't mean to cut you off, but Lyndon Williams had put up a post. County Legislator Lyndon Williams had put up a post. And he was speaking on the bickering between back and forth with, you know, I guess, city officials or whatever. So I said, Lyndon, you know, we have to address the truth.
Right.
You know, I mean, every elected official that represents city or wherever you're at, you have to address the truth. If you see nonsense, then you need to use your bully pulpit as a representative of that district, you know, whether you're county, state, or federal, you know, to address the issue.
Right.
You know, so when someone had the nerve to put on the post that Lyndon Williams was talking to me when he was speaking that, so I had to make it plain, and I'll say it here. If anything that I said is not the truth, then show me my error. Right? Show me my error. But we cannot, as you said, we cannot sit and have our eyes wide shut to ignorance and buffoonery as a people.
Right.
And not call it for what it is. And I tell people straight up, we could disagree, right? And if I'm in error, right, I will correct my error. But show me where I'm in error, right? Show me where my facts are wrong. You know, that's why we get here and we say things for Black Westchester. If you think that we are not telling the truth, then sue us. Sue us. And let's go in front of the justice system and put all the stuff out on the table. Now, when black cities, and I'm not speaking any city in particular,
just black cities, period.
Just black cities, period. And when you have in black cities that there are lack of economic development, school systems are wanting in funding and overcrowded, and when you have the income of people even below poverty level, above poverty level, or just making it, you know, they need to have something in the government that says that, you know, if they say you're poor or below, they should need another box, say just making it.
Right.
Right? But when you have that in black communities, Malcolm said it best. When you have a poor educational system, you're going to get a poor paying job.
Right.
And if you have a poor paying job, you're going to live in a poor neighborhood. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, and you're living in a poor neighborhood, you're going to get what? Poor services. Right? So how do we break that cycle? Right? How do we break that cycle? And when you're in Westchester and then you are in one of those communities, right? And you don't see a problem, right? A pastor said to me, well, I've been living here 30 years. I said, well, you should be ashamed of yourself because you haven't fixed the problem.
Because you remain silent for all
right.
this time.
You've been here 30 years and you don't see nothing's wrong,
right.
while everybody else sees something wrong. So let's not. But then nobody wants to talk about it, and then you got people talking about, well, you know what, Black Westchester don't have no credibility, right? Female person, Black Westchester don't have no credibility. Well, then you have no credibility because you haven't stopped the nonsense that's going on in your city government. So let's not sit here and throw stones, because we just are informing the people on what's going on in public concern. And if you're right, we're going to say you're right. But if you're wrong, we're going to say you're wrong. But we cannot sit here and get mad, right? People don't treat the Journal News and News 12 and Files when they report bad news about their community like they treat Black Westchester.
Right.
Right? You know, I don't see that female government official say News 12 has no credibility or Files.
You know what? You want me to tell you why, D? Because News 12, Low HUD, and so many of America's mainstream news organizations follow a approach to reporting in which they assume that there's equal validity on both sides. So everything is, you know, this was what side A says, this is what side B says, but we don't know. Who the hell knows what's going on?
Right.
And I think one of the differences about Black Westchester is it follows a model of civic reporting, community reporting, that's ultimately looking to help readers and viewers to better understand the root causes of many of the problems that we're encountering in our communities, and also to offer up insights for solutions.
Exactly.
And in this sense, people have to be called on the rug. I know that you don't, in particular, want to wade too deeply into Mount Vernon politics, but you know what? I am of the view that all of the city council persons who have served for the past two past two terms have really treated Mayor Thomas with kid gloves, with the exception of Councilman Wallace, who I think has stood up and realized that The mayor is not going to be persuaded through the kind of normal backdoor politics that allow people to iron out their differences in private and hold a united face in public. The mayor clearly proven that he is unwilling to do that and has sought to fight the city council and the comptroller on almost every single issue that is not in keeping with his policy and budgetary priorities, even though he can't. And really, quite honestly, I think that many of the city council members made a strategic error when they decided, in the face of overwhelming evidence, that Mayor Thomas is going to do everything he can to circumvent the rules of our city, the rule of law in our city, when they just decided, you know what, there's nothing we could do, we'll work it out in the back room. No. You need to fight. We need to fight. It's a fight. That's what we're in for right now, fight. So everyone needs to put on matter of fact, take off the kid gloves. Take the gloves off. It's time to knuckle up and use your full parliamentary authority and the weight of your office in order to make sure that Mayor Thomas is not allowed to take over the city government entirely in Mount Vernon. And that's true for every other government in the United States, whether it be the city, state, or local level. I mean, city, state, or federal level is the same issues, everyone. We have corrupt leaders who are looking to sell out the public faith and the public good for their own interests. That's why we have contaminated water in Flint, Michigan. That's why you have a slow-footed response on the part of the federal government to now a series of catastrophes in the aftermath of hurricanes. That's why you have a president who has very clearly made his own financial ambitions and aggrandizement his priority in shaping foreign policy, whether it's foreign policy with respect to the Middle East or whether it's foreign policy with respect to Eastern European affairs and in particular our relationship with Russia. So I know myself, I'm very, very pleased and encouraged to hear that Councilman Wallace is going to be running for the mayorship of Mount Vernon. Although there are many politicians that I do hold in esteem, and I think they are good people, thus far many of them have proven that they are unwilling to really wage a fight for the good of the people. So in that sense, I think we're fortunate. Andre has put it on the line. Andre is he's been tested. You kind of know where his values are. And one thing I could also say is all of the baseless allegations of wrongdoing that the mayor has lodged at Councilman Wallace over the past couple of years have also proven to be untrue. Whether it's claims of, not completing the contract for the Fire Emergency Command Center properly or shorting people of wages, all of those allegations have been investigated. They've proven baseless, and it suggests that Andre's motivations may be much purer than people actually would have liked to believe early on. I know I had many friends who thought that there was something amiss with the contract that Andre got from the fire station, only to find out, you want me to tell you what? Department of Labor, federal government did a review, the courts did a review. The allegations of Joe Spezio and Mayor Thomas were proved to be nothing but blatant lies.
Exactly.
And you know what? And I'm also going to say this. I was very pleased. Well, let me step back. I was very disappointed that none of the local officials outside of the city used the stature of their office to weigh in on some of these controversies and offer up an authoritative assessment of the rights and responsibilities of the various branches of the government. And in that regard, they actually allowed Mayor Thomas, to continue to promote what was essentially a pack full of lies. And a lot of the confusion and dispiritment that many people in the city of Mount Vernon are feeling today might have been avoided if people would have come out earlier on and used their public platform to correct the record when the mayor misspoke and deliberately distorted.
Exactly, and that was my point.
Right, and you want me to tell what? And one person who did do that, George Latimer did it. Eventually, the county executive, sort of peeled back.
And that was my point, because I did bring up Memorial Field on Lyndon's post, because he pushed back against the lie, and kudos to George for doing that. That's what people need to see, because people are confused, and I think all levels of government that represent a district that does not bring truth to falsehood is doing a disservice to their district. Whether I have a good relationship with the elected official or not. I mean, if you do not use your bully pulpit of your elected official to keep the people informed and address falsehood with truth, you're doing your district and your electorate a disservice. And the same goes to the pastors. If you do not use your pulpit to address the falsehood that is represented in the house of Caesar, you are doing your congregation a disservice, and you're slapping the face of preachers that came before you that have given their lives speaking truth to power and empowering the people. I say that because I've never seen so many pastors scared of the devil because they're afraid to call it what it is. It saddens me that we as black people are in this state in 2018 that we don't stand up and be men. That's why I was hoping Minister Hafiz was on here today, because this is the anniversary of the Million Man March, right? 23 years ago. And everything that we said we was going to do 23 years, and it's not, and you know what, and it's not even about what faith you are, right? If you're a man, goddammit, it doesn't matter, right? A man's going to be a man, right? A man is going to stand up for his community, well, allegedly, right? So the question is, are you a man or are you a mouse? See, because a man would not allow women in his community to be disrespected. Real men wouldn't allow that. Right? Real men wouldn't allow elderly people to be retaliated against, or real men wouldn't allow that. Right? So where are the men? Right? The question is, where are the men? Right? Real men wouldn't allow women to be abused on their jobs and don't step up and address the issue. Real men don't do that. What we see now is other than real men, right? In slavery times, they called them niggers. That's what in slavery time they called them. They called them niggers because niggas don't want to fight. Niggas don't want any problems. They just want things to be quiet and just go about their way, the usual way of the norm. Right? And I'm not saying it in a derogatory word. I'm saying it in a scientific, because a nigger was a man broken down. And that's what they did in slavery times. They broke the man down. They broke that king down, that prince that came over for Africa, that tribal leader. They broke him down and created a nigger, a man that doesn't want to fight, that doesn't want to fight for his family, doesn't want to fight for his village and his community, that just want to go along to get along, just to have something to be close to the master. See, and that's what we have today. That's what we have today. Because with everything that's going on in our communities, where the hell are the goddamn men? We worried about a job and overtime and promotions and all that, and we let our communities go to hell? No wonder the white man don't respect us. No wonder they don't respect us. They don't have to, because we don't respect ourselves. Dr. Bob.
I mean, I concur with you fully, D. We have neglected our responsibility for our communities, and I don't think there's ever any way we're going to fully come to terms with the root cause of our cowardice unless we're willing to acknowledge that too often we're putting money as the ultimate measure of success and of worth. And therefore, many of us think that money is not just the primary value, it's the only value. Right. All anyone wants to do is to do what's required to get along so they can earn their paycheck.
Exactly.
And you know what? Nike hit it kind of on the point. It hit it on the mark in this advertising campaign with Colin Kaepernick, where it said you got to be willing to put everything on the line.
Exactly.
You got to be willing to put it all on the line, y'all. Too many of us, whether it be preachers, whether it be politicians, whether it be those of us who are serving in mid-level government positions, are tempering our criticism for the sake of getting along with the establishment because we want that paycheck. Our silence is bought and paid for. And there's going to have to be something that is more dear to us than money.
Exactly.
If we're going to see a change.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I told somebody, and I posted on Facebook, you know, I said that for me to get my job, I had to take a test.
Right.
Right? I had to take a test, pass the test. Right? Just to get interviewed, I had to take the test. And then after the interview process, I had to go through the academy. Right? Then take another test in the academy in order to graduate from the academy. I did not get appointed. See, these politicals, they get appointed. So they have to continue to kiss ass to keep their job. So they get then they get mad because you point out that I don't have to kiss ass. Right? To get appointed to a position that sometimes they appointed they ain't even qualified for. Right? But and then that's their loyalty because they're appointed. They have a certain loyalty because they're appointed. I don't have to have loyalty because I didn't have to get appointed for my job. I went through a process to get my job. And sometimes you have to remind them because you watch people as the wind blows who's in power, they're the ones that's going to support. I support the person that's going to do right. They haven't been, if you're wrong, I'm going to call you on your wrong, regardless of the fact if I supported you or not. Right? Because everybody that stands up and supports an elected official their credibility is on the line with that elected official.
Right.
No matter, I don't care if you just got 2 people to vote for that elected official because you believed that that elected official was going to do the community that you helped him or her get elected in to do right. So you have the right, right? Anybody that casts a vote for anybody, whether it's city, county, state, or federal government, you have the right to be critical of that person because of your vote. That's what it's all about. That's what the founding fathers, right, of the United States put the Constitution together, that these are your rights. It's your right to be critical of the person that you put in office. You have that power because you have that vote. But see, sometimes the people fail themselves because they vote, then they go about their business, and then they complain. They complain. They complain about this. They complain about that. They complain about this. Right? And then you have some people that don't even know who the hell their elected officials are. Except on election day, and they vote and they take the marker and they go straight across the line, and they only know one, but the other 8 that's on the line, they just check them off because they're a part of a party. Haven't researched one of them. So sometimes it's not just the elected officials' fault, it's the people's fault. It's more on the people because we have the power to put the elected official in office, no matter what office is in. I'm not speaking on any particular office. I'm speaking on all offices. Because sometimes I don't support the status quo because I have that right not to. But even if the person that I don't support, if they get in office, they're still accountable to me.
Right.
And I'm still going to call them to do their job. It just doesn't matter. But where we are failing as a people, we are not being responsible to our own communities and our families when it comes to the political process. We're not doing it. So it's easy to pick on someone who's outspoken. It's easy to go after their families and their loved ones. It's easy to do that because the community is failing itself. And it's been failing itself for a long time because you look at the condition of the community. And that's the sad part about it. That's the sad part about it. And when will we learn? Until someone comes and gentrifies the city? That's what happened to Harlem. They didn't get it. Now the average black person can't even buy one of those brownstones in Harlem, right?
Right.
They'll get it in Mount Vernon sooner or later. They'll get it in Greenburgh and all the other black communities sooner or later because it's the process. They run the city down, right? Property goes way down. Poor black man and woman can't even get a foreclosed home because they won't allow. But the big developers can come in and buy up blocks. Does it sound familiar? City workers can't even do a program for the city workers to get a foreclosed home. They work in the city. They get paid by the tax dollars, right? You got buildings being built and people that work for the school district can't even get in because they're blocked out because they just want to stuff in poor people in the city like sardines and get that Section 8 money. Right, but the person, the single mother that has a decent job, can't even find a place to live. Can't find a place to live. And then they wonder why. Let's see if that's the caller before I get in trouble.
Right? But the person is a single mother
Hello?
that has a
Hi, Dana.
job.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. Welcome to the People Before Politics radio show. On the phone, we have Coach Elisa Murray of Yonkers High School Bulldogs volleyball team, women's, and there's some issues going on, and I think, you know, I was talking to a friend of the show, Mike Hannon. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, and he brought up the issue of Coach Murray and what she's been facing at the Yonkers High School and dealing with the women's volleyball team. And here's some of the issues, and after I finish, Coach Murray, please, you know, you could go deeper into it. No running water, shower facilities in the females' locker room, and it's unclean. Bleachers in the gym not working, prevents larger crowds to attend, and it's been going on for 3 years. No ice machines in the athletic facilities, no athletic trainer on staff, or medical equipment when injuries occur, and they have no assistant coaches. 24 student athletes on the volleyball team, and Jim Russo is the athletic director for all the Yonkers schools. And am I
Jim Rose.
Jim Rose?
Rose. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Am I correct with the small assessment on what you've been facing, Coach Murray?
Yes, the Yonkers public schools are struggling athletically, especially the female sports. We do not have any modified teams, no JV teams, except for football. And so it's really difficult for the students to even make a team sometimes until you're a junior or senior. And there are no running showers or anything like that. There's no ice machine in our facility. Yeah, the things you said were true.
Wow. And what have you done, Coach Murray, to try to address these issues?
Well, I've done what I can. We as a team do fundraise, but we can't fundraise but so much. I have talked to the athletic directors and the offices, and you know the answer is usually there's not money in the budget for those things. So Yonkers public schools in general struggle athletically, even though we have the type of students that are very capable athletically. We just don't have anything for them. We don't have enough for them.
Wow.
Coach, yes. Coach, how are you? This is Dr. Bob. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Bob.
When you mentioned the disparity in funding for the women's athletic program in the Yonkers public school system, it raised for me the question as to whether or not this has in fact been ruled illegal and unlawful. My understanding, Title IX, as I'm sure you know, of our federal law requires essentially equality of treatment between men and women. And my understanding is that one of the first areas that they took this on was in the area of sports and athletics, and that there have been court rulings recently that have required equalization of funding and support for male and female athletic teams. So it sounds to me like you're telling us that the City of Yonkers Board of Education and even the athletic program is essentially starving the female team of funds that are made readily available to the male teams. Is that correct?
In a sense, but not entirely. The way they can get around that for a sport like volleyball is there is no male volleyball team.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not, you don't have to show any equality because there is no male volleyball team.
Let me ask you a question. Is the male locker room, do they have running water and the necessities, for the male athletes to take a shower and freshen up? And
No.
Oh, they don't have it either?
No, they don't have it either.
Jesus Christ.
So all the athletes are treated equally shabby.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, Coach, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the impact of the failure of the city of Yonkers to put together effective athletic programs for female students in particular?
To be honest, I know many female athletes in the past. I know me as well. Getting through school, but at the end of the day, knowing that you get to go to practice, knowing that you belong to this team, gets you into school some days. I have players even now who readily admit, I came to school today because I have to have practice. So, I think that we're taking away from our young people something that they can belong to that's positive, something they can belong to that furthers their belief and support and all the things that we want our young people to have. And if you belong to a family of means, you can pay to play volleyball. You can pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to belong to a volleyball club. But a lot of our players in Yonkers, that's not an option for them. So even though they have the talent, they're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to get scouted. None of that is going to happen for them.
Right. Your comment reminded me of I'm going to mention a little behind the scenes stuff. AJ, one of AJ's neighbors, we were having a conversation, and she pretty much said the same thing. She loved high school, and the reason she went to class during high school was because her last class was dance class, and that gave her a sense of belonging and fulfillment. And she really couldn't make it through the day, Coach, without having the benefit of attending dance class and at the conclusion of the day. So, it seems like this is a fairly constant need that people have. One of the main reasons academics suggest that students don't do well is because they do not have a feeling of connection with these educational institutions. And
because they've taken everything away. I mean, they
Well, there's not too many periods. If you're a junior, you really only need 5 classes to get through your days. That ends your day somewhere around 11:50.
So you're just in and out. So you take them 4 or 5 classes and you're gone for the rest of the day.
Because, we do have art, we do have music, but we don't have the things that I grew up with.
Right. What can the listeners do, especially the listeners in Yonkers, to help you and what can they do to help you address these issues? Of course, I think we're going to, Black Westchester, we're going to call, make some phone calls and just, see if they want to address the problem. Call the mayor's office and say, hey, this is the complaint that we have, how do we fix it?
I think the first thing that I would love for people to do is to go to your Board of Ed meetings. When I go to a Board of Ed meeting, there's 20, maybe 30 parents there. My school alone is close to 2,000 children.
Wow.
There are 8 high schools in Yonkers. it seems unbelievable to me that we're not fighting for our children where we meet. That's the first place that your voice can be heard.
Exactly.
Is at the Board of Ed meetings.
Exactly.
And then vote. Vote. These are voted positions. Know who you're voting for. Know who the people on your board are.
Right.
Those are the ways that I know here in Yonkers we can help our children. Because they deserve it. They work hard. They need it. And they're not getting all the things that they rightly deserve. You go 10 minutes north of Yonkers, Scarsdale has, I believe, 8 volleyball teams for one school.
Wow.
It's amazing. But that's Scarsdale. They get the money. But Yonkers, I don't understand how these cities don't have money. Like they just, where's the money going? I mean, we can't use the excuse, oh well, salaries and benefits and all that. That's the old political. No matter what you're Democrat or Republican, and they use that as an excuse. And teachers still don't make enough money to survive, and teachers or coaches or employees that are in the school system still don't make enough to survive, and you know what they're paying for with health care is still not enough if they get critically ill. So I mean, you know, like, where is the money going? Where's the money going? Dr. Bob,
It's
you
an excellent question to ask at a Board of Ed meeting.
Right. But I think just like the city council, as Coach Murray said, you know, people need to go to their city council meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They need to go to their county legislator meetings. They need to go to their school board meetings. These are the meetings that people need to go to. And once in a while, you need to go up to Albany and go to the assembly and the state senate meetings and talk to them. See, we have to be seen more, and what Coach Murray, you know, she's stepping up and she's taking a challenge for the children, you know, to explain. I would never thought, you know, that a woman's locker room won't have running water in the shower. I mean, you know, women.
That's shameful.
It is. It's really disgusting. But once again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Where are the men? Right? Because if I knew my daughter couldn't take a shower, right, and there wasn't a facility for her to have hygiene,
Right.
I'll be in an uproar. I would be at the school. I would be questioning, right? The mother's going to do what they're going to do. But where are the men? Right? I still ask that question. Where are the men with these issues in their communities and these issues with their children? Where, you know, it just goes back. Where are the men? You know, we got to start taking part of the process of our communities. That's where we're failing. Stop pointing at some of these con men politicians that wanna stroke your ego with free stuff
and lull you to sleep.
Right.
And then when they catch you sleeping, you like, oh. Why you did that to me? Why you did me like
That's
that?
right. That's right. Because the same as the Board of Ed, I think, you know, the people in the Yonkers Board of Ed, they have to run for election. Am I correct, Ms. Coach Murray?
I believe they do, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, why are they getting reelected? You think I'm going to elect you and you can't even get my daughter some showers after she played volleyball? Or my son, if the locker rooms is that, you think I'm going to vote you in? But it's just the lack of information, you know. And I applaud Coach Murray for coming out, because I would never thought, and I wish I would have known before. Because Mayor Spano was on the show a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. We would have had something for him. We would have had something. I mean, and it's not, you know, it's not attacking. It's just we have to ask the questions. You know,
Right.
the important questions. Why these young women don't have, or any woman that, any young girl that go up into high school that goes into the locker room, why they can't take a shower? You know, I mean,
Why are they not?
women are different than men. They need
Mm.
some. They need to, you know. And after playing sports, it's things you got to do, right? I might be a
Absolutely.
man, but I know I'm. You know, I'm not crazy. You know. So even you know that this thing. Why are you not? I mean, I really think that's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
That has to be a lawsuit.
Right. Adolescence is challenging for everyone, but it can be especially challenging for women, given all of the physical changes that they're going through, and none more important than the onset of one's menstrual cycle.
Exactly. I didn't
And
want to say it.
let's
but you
keep
said
it a buck.
about
I don't
that.
know any
I was
woman
trying to
athlete
I was running around it.
who
but-
wants to be, you know, hey, my period's about to come. I need to be able to properly care for myself.
Exactly.
It is shameful
Exactly.
that we should be sending young ladies from school without having an opportunity to take care of their hygienic needs, especially if it's that time of month.
Exactly.
I mean, there are all kind of things like, listen, if you presumably, I guess there's no women's swim team, but for all women athletes, this would be an especially important concern and especially a sensitive matter. I mean, I have a sister. I know plenty of women, and I know that during their adolescent years, this was one issue that was very, very sensitive for women. So it seems like a no-brainer to make sure that, you know what, you got some kind of, somewhere where you could bathe at. It's not a lot to ask.
Right.
I bet you one thing we could bet on. Somewhere in the city of Yonkers, there are bathrooms for executive.
Oh, of course.
I guarantee you that.
So, Jim Russo, the athletic director,
Really.
if anyone wants to call him, his number is 914-376-8262. 914-376-8262. Everybody that's listening and everybody that will listen to the show, if you are not upset of what you heard, if you need to call Jim Russo and let him know that we're watching and something needs to be done. We're going to call from Black Westchester, and we're gonna invite Mr. Russo on the show to explain the allegations that Coach Murray has made.
It's actually Mr. Rose, and they're not my allegations, but they are the truth of what's going on.
Right, on the issues.
And you know, and I want to point out this. Look, athletic teams are pivotal in helping to develop leadership. And so if we have essentially female athletic teams are all but absent, that means that the city of Yonkers has demonstrated a lack of commitment to the development of the next generation of leaders from this city. And in that sense, it seems like the consequences could be even more long-lasting than we really truly appreciate at this time. Where are women, young women in the city of Yonkers going to find other opportunities to cultivate their leadership skills, if not in some of our athletic teams?
Exactly. Well,
And we should be catching them at the age of 11 and 12 for the modified levels, so that we're starting them young enough that they can become the leaders that they need to be, and not waiting until they're 17 to be on a varsity team.
yes, absolutely right. Coach Murray, is there anything else you want to say to the listeners? And we're coming on 10 minutes to the end of the show. Is there anything else you want to say? And we'll definitely, and thank you for calling. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing the information. I really appreciate it. And we're going to follow up with you in a couple of months. Another person you need to reach out to, and I'll text you, is Reverend Norman. He's doing a lot of good work out in Yonkers and addressing a lot of issues in the school system. And I think he will be appalled to hear what's going on with the school athletics. And I will after the show I will text you his number to give him a call and let him know you was on the radio show, and you talked to Damon and Dr. Bob, and I told you to give him a call. But any last words you want to say to the listeners?
Please go to your Board of Ed meetings.
Exactly.
If you want to know what's going on with the children of Yonkers, please attend your Board of Ed meetings.
Great. Coach Murray, thank you again. Thank you for calling, and I'll definitely be following up, and I'll send you the number for Reverend Norman, and you could give him a call, and we could start working on some things outside of the show.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I want to read some of the shout-outs for all the people. You got Jesse Van Loo. He says, hey, Dr. Bob. Donna Nolan says hello. You got Frank Trulio. Uncle Frank's in the house. Dollar Nolan says, hey, Dr. Bob, could you mention the 3rd annual Michael?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I was calling in reference to the Coach Murray's conversation.
Yes, you got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Can you
First of all,
can you turn down your radio in the background?
Yeah, can you turn down whatever you're listening to in the background and state your name and where you're from?
not a problem. My name is Mark Ross. I'm from Yonkers.
Oh.
How are you doing?
How you doing?
How are you doing? First and foremost, I did speak to the gentleman you need to speak to. His name is Jim Rose.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a systematic issue going on with Yonkers within the athletic department. First of all, the budgeting, after speaking with him, the budgeting for Yonkers School District, the athletic department is like 4%, less than 4%. Normally, every other district gets 1 to 3%. There's issuing with the busing. There's no coordination between the athletic directors and the coaching. It's a problem.
Thank you.
It's a real problem, and I really don't think the athletic director or the rest of the people really care.
So, what is the Board of Education saying?
That part I haven't asked. The conversation's gone up to I've already called up to the superintendent because the basic issue was, fundamental issue was there was a lack of ice within the school district. The students didn't have ice. And to this day, I still don't know if the other schools do. Lincoln and Yonkers have ice, but the other schools I can't answer.
Okay.
A lack of ice in the cafeteria, you mean?
No, lack of ice for the student athletes. There was a student that got injured in a volleyball game, and she got her ankle twisted. There was no ice.
So is there ice in the school?
I can't. There's ice in the school, but there's no lack of getting the ice. The coaches don't have.
That's crazy.
It's
how
a real story.
How do you have ice in the school and you can't get ice for the team?
I got a better one for you with the athletic department. There was they have a soccer tournament every year, all the Yonkers schools, and they have all the schools come together for this soccer tournament. Don't you know the soccer field was overbooked, so it was canceled.
Wow.
Sir, can I ask a question? How are you privy to the insights?
That's what I was going to say.
What's going on? How you know that? We thought we was on the beat. Apparently, we got to send an application to you. How you come down next week?
There's a lot of things that are going on. I mean, it's a real issue. I mean, to answer that question, it's longer than just a couple of questions.
Right.
Mr. Damon Jones knows me from back in the day at Woodland.
Yes.
But anyway, that's another story for another time.
I know that's another Damon Jones too.
We talk about that back in the day. But I mean, seriously, my family's known Yonkers for years. The Ross family's known Yonkers for years. If you look into history, we've been there for a while, and we moved down here. I'll say about 4 to 5 years. I mean, Coach Murray's been the best with dealing with my daughter Chandler, but there's really an issue going on with this district.
Wow. Well, we're gonna stay on it, brother. I mean, we're gonna stay on it, and thank you for giving us a little more information on what's going on, and we're going to stay on it.
But here's a real question for you guys to find out. Why isn't there any ice?
Exactly. But that's like
it's a basic necessity. Besides, just for a parent to call AD and ask a question, why isn't there ice? And he says, well, I didn't know. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And here's another question for you guys. Why is the busing so sporadic?
Sporadic means sometimes they have busing and sometimes they don't?
Well, if you have a game scheduled for 4 o'clock and the bus doesn't show up till 4:15, and you have to be at the other school at 4 o'clock.
That sounds like just horrible management, man. This is crazy.
I can't answer those questions. Or if I got another one, if you got a kid for a team that has a bus that's at Tibbetts Park and they're at Yonkers High School, and the bus doesn't show up, why do they have to walk?
Amazing. They're making kids walk. You know. All right, we got a lot of. Thank you, sir. I mean, it's like, man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But look, everybody that got the number, I'm going to read this guy's number again, too, for all the people that are listening.
No, but I'll say this name. I don't know if it's Mr. Rose. I don't know if it's from the superintendent. But I'll say this. There's a real problem. I don't know if they don't know. I don't know if they don't care.
Well, somebody's going to care because at the end of the day, right, there's people that get elected. The school board, the city council, the mayor, right? So if people are not going to care, then the people should stop electing these people. Even if they are put, because it's the elected officials that appoint these people to these positions. And if they're not going to do it, then you change the elected official. I mean, it has to start somewhere.
Damon, I put it this way. Can't say it too much more other than say this. There's people that are elected officials whose kids play these sports, not just volleyball, but other sports.
Right.
There's a lot of issues going on, and I really don't think they care. I really don't think they care.
Well, then the people have to care. You know, somebody. You know,
I don't think they know.
Right. Well, yeah. That's the first thing is informing the people and getting
the budget restraints, the busing. It's an issue.
Yeah. And
it won't become an issue until, unfortunately, someone gets hurt.
Exactly. Well, we got to go. We got to close out. We got to read. But thank you, brother, for calling in, man. And we're going to follow up. We're going to follow up with this in a couple of weeks. Thank you again for calling in for the information. And people need to call the athletic director and find out. His number is 914-376-8262. And if you get nothing from them, then call City Hall and talk to the mayor. You know, I mean, because, you know, this is ridiculous. You know, to have children go through this, you know, is ridiculous. But thank you for calling, man. We're going to get ready to close out. We're going to read out some of the comments on Facebook. But
have a good night.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much for a forum on this, and have a good night.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
All right, bye-bye.
You got it. You got D. Wilson. She's in the check-in. Najee English. I got to go back up to Donna because Donna Nolan, where you at, Donna? She said she's having it's a basketball tournament coming up on February 23rd, 2019 at Lincoln High School in Yonkers. Donna, if you're still watching, if you're listening, definitely we're gonna have you. I think AJ was saying you were supposed to come on the show. Hopefully we'll have you before next February and come on the show and talk about your tournament and give the information where people can donate money and participate. I think that would be a beautiful thing. She posted it up. For information, please visit Facebook, the Michael Nolan Scholarship Fund fundraiser. Michael Nolan. It's a Michael Nolan Memorial Fund. Michael Nolan Memorial Fund.org. You could go there, but we're definitely gonna have Donna on the show, man. Love Donna to death. Love she's a great supporter. You got the Future Society, D. Wilson, Darryl Miller, Montika Jones, Montumbo Muhammad, Glenn Butler, Charles Khalil. Trying to read everybody.
Jamie Melendez.
Yep. Andre Wallace. Congratulations, Andre Wallace.
Once again.
Wally Evans, Lewis Sonny Williams, Sean Patterson Howard, Jerome Rice. What's up, Jerome? Jonah May, Rentless Aaron. Oh, that's you, Bob.
No, that's
oh, well, thanks everyone. Time's up. Anything you guys say? We out, Bob.
All right, no. I'm sorry. I'm just trying. Listen, y'all, I appreciate your forbearance with me this week. We missed AJ already.
Yes.
See you in a couple of weeks, brother, and I'll see everyone
next week. Minister, student minister representing Mosque number 7, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Student minister Hafiz Muhammad will be on the show. And we're going to have, from the National Black Police Association, is going to be calling in the chair's sister, Sonia Wiggins Pruitt, right? And who else did I say? We got a couple other people calling in. But they're going to be calling next week. We're going to talk about the importance of the Million Man March. We're going to talk about the importance of black officers standing up and not punking out. Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.